So far, we have covered the concept of economic impact analysis, its various purposes, and why is it important for cities and municipalities, especially when they are planning new capital projects. Now, let's move on to the steps in economic impact analysis and some important considerations when conducting the analysis. The first step is defining the geographic area of impact, the most fundamental and crucial step for analyzing the economic impact. The results of the economic impact analysis will vary depending on the size of the geographic area. That means depending on the size of the geographic area, the impact can be overestimated or underestimated. Once we define the geographic area of impact, the next step is to determine incremental visitors. We have to define outside visitors and distinguish between visitors and local residents because the main focus of economic impact analysis is new money from visitors, not local residents. Then, the next step is analyzing the direct spending from incremental visitors by multiplying the estimated total number of visitors and the average spending per visitor. Once we calculate direct spending or direct economic impact, we can calculate indirect and induced spending using multipliers. In some cases, economic impact analysis stops here. However, fiscal impact or tax revenue must be considered during the analysis. If we disregard or omit the fiscal impact, the analysis will be underestimated. Finally, we must consider various costs associated with the projects not to overestimate the economic impact. Let's look at each step in more detail. The first two steps in economic impact analysis are determining the two important parameters, the geographic area of impact and the incremental visitors. We first have to determine the region that is considering funding the event or facility because the impact tends to decrease with distance from the event or facility location, which eventually affects the amount of economic impact. Once we determine the geographic area impact, another important parameter, the type of spending, must be considered. In a conservative estimate of economic impact, most local spending must be excluded because of the main focus of economic impact analysis is new money or new spending from visitors outside of the geographic area of impact. In other words, only spending by visitors should be counted in the analysis. In the case of F Dallas, the geographic area of impact was the city of Frisco. Since the city and the Frisco ISD provided $40 million to renovate the Toyota Stadium and build the Soccer Hall of Fame, we only focused on the Frisco area. The reason why the local spending is excluded in the analysis is that in a conservative estimate, most local spending is considered displaced spending, meaning that spending by local residents on an event would have been spent elsewhere locally if the event had not occurred. In the case of F Dallas and the National Soccer Hall of Fame at Toyota Stadium, Frisco residents spending on F Dallas soccer matches must be excluded. If they don't spend money at the F Dallas games, they will spend the money either now or later in the near future by purchasing other goods and services at the Stonebriar Mall or the Dr. Pepper Ballpark in Frisco. In short, local spending is not considered new money, rather it is considered the recycling of money. That's because a dollar spent at a ball game may merely be a dollar not spent at another local business. Again, it is critical to differentiate between visitors and local residents. More importantly, you have to differentiate various types of visitors because visitors are not the same in terms of their purposes and timing of the visit. In general, there are three types of visitors: casual visitors, time switchers, and incremental visitors. Casual visitors are visitors who are already in town for another reason and decide to attend the event. In other words, casual visitors are those who are already in the geographic area of impact, attracted by other features, and who decided to attend the sport event instead of doing something else. That means their main purpose of the visit to the area is not to attend the sport event. Time switchers are visitors who would have come to town at another time, but opted to come to town during this time instead to attend the event. In other words, time switchers are non-local spectators at an event who may have been planning a visit to the community for some time, but changed the timing of their visit to coincide with the event. Therefore, the spending of time switchers should not be fully counted as a new spending because they would have spent the money without the event at a different time of the year. Accordingly, the spending of casual visitors and time switchers should not be fully counted as new spending. Instead, only their incremental spending, the spending above and beyond what they would have spent, regardless of the event, should be counted. However, it is not easy to estimate the incremental spending from casual visitors and time switchers, or how much they would have spent solely for the event. Consequently, it is typically to exclude the entire casual visitors and time switchers from the analysis. For instance, let's suppose a person came to Frisco for a business meeting and spent $200 per day on hotel, food, and transportation, and decided to attend the F-Dallas game and spend $50 for a ticket and concession. In this case, the incremental spending is $50, and only this amount should be counted toward the economic impact of F-Dallas. But again, it is difficult to know how much these individuals spent because of the event, above and beyond what they would have spent on their visit regardless of the event. Therefore, this type of spending is generally excluded in a conservative measure of economic impact analysis. Finally, incremental visitors are visitors who came to town because of the event and would not have come otherwise. In other words, incremental visitors are the true visitors who came to town with the main purpose of attending the event or would not have come to town without the event. Therefore, the direct spending of this group is fully counted in the economic impact analysis. Once we differentiate three types of visitors and sort out casual visitors and time switchers from the analysis, the next step is measuring the amount of direct spending from incremental visitors. We should also consider whether to count the spending that takes place inside of sport facility, how much of the money from the event is spent locally, and whether the local government or the owner of the facility receives a portion of the revenue. To measure the direct impact, or also called direct spending, we can use one of the two spending methodologies or both. The first method is using secondary research. We can evaluate primary studies that have been conducted in other cities for similar projects, with some adjustments to account for the difference between the location of primary studies and the geographic area of impact of the subjective study. To measure the economic impact of F-Dallas, we can obtain and evaluate studies that have been conducted in other cities, such as Houston, Salt Lake City, Kansas City, and other similar-sized cities. Another method to determine direct spending or measuring direct impact is obtaining information directly from the event attendees through a survey. To be more precise, we can create a survey instrument or a questionnaire to estimate the amount of spending from the entire event attendees. However, it is not realistic or possible to collect surveys from all of them. While the minimum sample size depends on the total number of attendees, sampling error, and the scope and rigor of the evaluation, in most cases, the larger the better when obtaining surveys from the attendees. To explore and measure the economic impact of F-Dallas, We developed a survey questionnaire by adopting a survey from Crompton, Lee, and Schuster's 2011 article. Please download and take a look at the survey that we used. The survey consists of a total of 11 items. The first item is screening question to determine the eligibility of survey participants. Apparently, if a respondent answers no, we exclude the survey. However, as we collected the data inside of Stadium, I think no one answered no. Question 2, 3, and 4 were used to explore descriptive characteristics, particularly economic status, of F-Dallas game attendees. Question 5 is one of the most important items. This item helps us differentiate between local residents and visitors. As we know, we have to sort out local residents to calculate new money coming into Frisco from visitors outside of Frisco. If a respondent writes down one of the three zip codes, 75033, 75034, and 75035, the respondent is a local resident who must be removed from the data analysis. Question 6 was used to estimate the amount of spending of visitors per day or spending per day per visitor group. You can exclude this question if the event of your interest is only a one-day event. However, I would suggest including this item regardless of the duration of the event, because some visitors may come to the town before the event or stay longer after the event. Question 7 is for calculating per person and per visitor group expenditures. Some respondents will complete the questionnaire on behalf of other people in his or her groups. This item is also important because the total expenditures are calculated by multiplying the sample responses to the local attendance. For example, a respondent spent $300 and the size of the intermediate group was 3. Then the per person spending of the group is $100. In other words, we can calculate per person expenditure, which is the actual unit of analysis for the total direct spending of incremental visitors. Another reason is that it is inaccurate to capture only the expenditures of individual respondents. They may be paying for other people, such as family members or friends, or business partners, or others who may be paying for them. Question 8 involves the amount of spending for various categories that are used to capture economic impact. We must differentiate the amount of spending for various categories because each category of expenditure has a different multiplier coefficients, which will be used to calculate indirect and induced economic impact. Most importantly, we must acknowledge that the reported expenditures can only be an estimation. Respondents may complete the questionnaire before leaving Frisco, meaning that they have to estimate the additional expenditures they are likely to spend. Please keep in mind that because of this approximation, economic impact analysis is an inexact process. The outcome of the analysis should be regarded as a best guess rather than an absolute truth. Using question 5, we can screen out local residents. Now we are trying to screen out casual visitors through question 9. Those who answer yes to this question will be classified as casual visitors and they must be excluded from calculating the direct impact. Question 10 is designed to identify time switchers who change their visit to Frisco to coincide with the F-Dallas game. If respondents answer yes, they also must be excluded from the data analysis. Finally, question 11 is used to confirm the respondents' answers and for reliability purposes.